PJ Kirby, it is such a dream to have you here today on Flop Culture. How are you doing?
It's a dream to be here.
I forget when the lads are here that they can clap and stuff.
You're our audience.
Woo!
I dressed up for the occasion.
Look, the t-shirt.
I whipped out, it says Flop Era for the listeners at home. I'm moving house at the moment and I was panicking before I got here. I was like, Jose, where is my Flop Era t-shirt? This is of crucial importance. But we got it. And it's cleanish.
Perfect. All other guests, take note, please.
Yeah, there you go.
Dress for the podcast you want to be on, not the podcast that you're not on. Anyway, that was an awful segue. What flop have you picked for this spooky season?
So I've picked my favourite horror film of all time. It's debatable whether it's a flop. The flop is in the beholder here. Mm-hmm. But I've picked House of Wax.
House of Wax.
The early 2000s classic.
I had never watched this before watching it for this podcast. You are looking at me disgusted, and actually you responded disgustedly when I said this to you and we were texting.
I was about to block you on WhatsApp because I was like, how did you go the whole of the early 2000s without watching? Have you watched it? Yeah. Listeners in the booths. But babe, it was everywhere when we were younger. It was
I know, but I would have only been 10 and you're a little bit older than me.
Oh, actually, I have to go.
I wouldn't have been allowed to watch it. Do you know what I mean?
Babe, we were watching it when we were so young.
You're
What
not
age,
that much
what
older than
age
me,
are
I
you?
suppose. I'm just turned 28.
So I would have been 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But was it 12s in the cinema? How were you getting into a 12s movie?
No, we had DVD, babes.
Oh,
we had it on
DVD.
And it was glamour. We had this. So basically, we were a VHS household, right?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But when we were transitioning into DVD territory, Blu-ray was kind of taken over and everyone thought it was going to be like a hovercraft or something. My mum didn't understand what a Blu-ray was. But then they had those hybrid DVD VHS players and we just got that.
Yeah.
And the first DVD we got was the House of Wax DVD, which is kind of twisted and sick looking back on it. But it was glamour. It folded out and it was embossed. So there was on the cover, if you look at it, it's the gorgeous redhead, but she's being covered in wax. And it was embossed with the wax. So it was coming off the page.
So you could feel it.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
That is so glamorous.
And we used to just watch it all the time, but casually, you shouldn't be casually just watching a horror film on repeat. I think that kind of indoctrinates you into becoming this weird serial killer. I'm not really left of candles in the house, basically. Let's just say that.
Interesting. So that's your earliest memory of it. And it's obviously, we'll get into it about what it's about, but obviously it's a horror film. Did you find it scary at that age?
Back at that time, it was terrifying. But I think what I like about it straddles this thing where it's scary but not too scary. You know what I mean? It gets you a few jumps, but it's not oh my God, I can't sleep. You know what I mean?
And it's also not mega gory either, even though it's kind of considered a bit of a slasher.
It is a bit of a slasher.
There are some iconic deaths.
Oh, we have to get into them because I have a hit list of my faves.
Okay. For anyone who's not familiar, what is House of Wax about? What's the plot?
So House of Wax is the perfect early 2000s horror film full of hot people who are really dumb and make loads of dumb decisions that get them all killed one by one. So basically the plot is this group of hot people. I want to say, they're not meant to be teenagers, are they?
They're going to a football game, but it's not. Yeah, so I would say just out of high school, maybe early college.
Kind of that vibes. And they're all piled into the cars. One of the girls' brother just gets out of prison, Chad Michael Murray. He's this ex-con kind of bad boy-esque. He tags along last minute with them. They're all going to this game, but obviously they get sidetracked. They have to camp out for the night. And then they camp out in the woods, basically. Then they kind of get lost along the way. Some of them try to go to the game. Some of them try to fix a car thing.
Yeah, because they're in the middle of nowhere. Car breaks down. This fella finds them and is like, well, I can bring you to the nearest town and you can get a belt or whatever. So as you said, two of them go off. Elijah Cuthbert, who is the sister, and her boyfriend at the time, who's played by Jared Padalecki. And then the rest of them go off. So that's Paris Hilton, Chad Michael Murray. Yeah. And either John Hayburns or Robert Richard. Anyway,
Robert Richard went away. And then another one. Who's the other one?
Oh, your man Dalton. That's John Abrahams then.
Yeah, John Abrahams. Yeah, he goes as well. Stars of the cast,
Very strong
But
cast.
they basically just goes, who's shit hot right now? So they took your man from the Gilmore Girls or whatever.
Yeah.
He went on to Supernatural. Paris Hilton's first debut role, by the way. And then Eliza Cuthbert.
Very hard second name to pronounce.
Anyway.
Flop, because we talked about happy endings before.
And she was in Girl Next Door, isn't she?
Yes, yeah.
So basically,
hot naughties
people. They were all. It was stars of the cast. So Elijah, what's her name of the thing?
Oh, I don't know. Something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Eliza and your man, Gerard, her fella.
Yeah.
They go to the town.
His name's fully.
Jared.
Jared, not Gerard.
Not Jared. Jared. Go to the town to get the fan belt when everyone else tries to go to the match. And then hell ensues, like mayhem ensues. They find this town, it's really eerie. There's a huge House of Wax museum there. And then they get this backstory, basically, of this crazy doctor and his wife moved to the town. And the wife kind of was a wax sculptor. And she had kids. And the kids were conjoined twins. And then the dad kind of went crazy, killed himself and killed the mam. And then it goes from there, basically. Do we give away all that?
Yeah,
do we give
absolutely.
Give it away?
Spoiling?
Yeah, okay. Spoiling. So basically, long story short, they meet this fella who turns out to be one of the twins, but you don't find out until later. And then the twins there's one fella in the House of Wax who basically they were conjoined when they were younger. And then their dad obviously cut them in half. Is that politically correct? You can't, but that's what he did.
That's what he did.
I don't know. But like, I'm like, if you're a conjoined twin listening, like you can be conjoined. I don't know, whatever. But basically, he
two people who are not doctors talking on a podcast.
Yeah,
perfect,
yeah.
Brilliant.
So basically, he separated conjoined twins. So one of them had half a face that obviously filled with wax. They just filled half the face with wax. He has a wax mask. And then the other one is just a big ride prancing about the town. So he kind of lures in the people and then the other fella turns them into wax sculptures in the museum.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's the scariest thing in the world. Like, it's basically like they go into this museum and all the wax sculptures are actually people who they've murdered and covered in wax.
Terrifying.
It's like, I can't go to Madame Tussauds anymore and look at it the same because, like, that's terrifying.
It's like Harry Styles is alive under there.
Yeah, literally. You know what I mean?
Set me free, girls. Yeah, very scary. Very...
Then, after you kind of establish, then there's evil twins going around killing everyone that comes into town and turning them into wax. All that happens then basically for the rest of the film is they just kill each of them one by one and turn them into wax.
Yeah.
That's basically the film, right?
Yeah. Carly is your one's name. Like Cuthbert's character, yeah. So Carly and the brother are then trying to escape because she's like almost turned into wax, but then he cops is able to free her. But in the meantime, all the rest of them are like either caught by the mad brother who's like turning them into wax, or like, yeah, your man Dalton goes into the wax museum and your man captures him and he comes to an absolutely gruesome death. It is...
Yeah, so the first death is...
your man Wade, the boyfriend.
Wade is Gerard, the actor Gerard from Supernatural, right?
Yeah. I'm not even going to correct you on the pronunciation of his name, but yeah. Jared. Supernatural, Gilmore Girls, yeah.
Jared from Supernatural is Wade in this thing. And it's your one's boyfriend. And he dies first, right? And everyone's always like, that was the most gruesome death. And I don't think it was.
No, absolutely not. It wasn't.
No, so, but basically the one thing, and me and my sister used to watch it all the time and be like, oh, I love when he's in, not in love, obviously, but this is like, it's a bit of the horror film that you're like, he's also, number one, he's a nosy fecker. Everyone's like, he doesn't deserve to die. And I'm like, but he kind of has no respect. Like, he goes into the wax museum with your one, right? With Carly. Or Carla. What's her name? Carly. And they're walking around. She's obviously being like, this is a bit creepy. And then he's whipping out the lighter, burning everything. And I'm like, stop doing that. He starts like scaring her with the dog. And then he's just nosy. So then when they go to the gaff, they go back to... Bo is the killer, one of the brothers' names, right? The hot one. Bo brings him back to the gaff and he goes in to like have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And if he just went for a piss and walked back out, got into the car, they would have been grand.
Probably would have escaped.
Yeah, but no, he's thick. Like, they're all just hot and stupid. So he's walking back out and he sees the door open and then he goes in to have a nose in the office.
Nosing at everything.
Yeah, and he's like, and obviously if you go into the office and you see like, it was like a cow fetus in like jelly and all this stuff, you wouldn't be playing with it, you'd run away. Like. But he's like wandering around the gaff and then basically the other brother, Vincent, his name is, the one with the waxed face, lifts up the floorboard and then cuts his Achilles heel with a scissors. Oh, like imagine that. Imagine someone just cutting your Achilles heel with a scissors. You just drop to the floor. Like.
It's awful, but it's so good.
It's so good.
Visceral. You can really feel it. Like.
Yeah. So basically, then he just drags him, and then what they do with everyone, they just hook him up to this machine, spray him in loads of wax, and then put him in the wax museum. But everyone's like, oh, he did, on the forums, like, because I used to be mad into like dissecting it. They're all like, he didn't deserve to die. Like and I was like, no, he was actually a bit of a prick, and also he was really jealous.
I was just about to bring that up. He's such a jealous. Anytime anyone's like vaguely nice to Carly, he's like, oh,
you're gonna fuck them now,
another member of your fan club. Fuck off, you fucking insecure loser.
Yeah,
like.
I think as well though. And I have to get your opinion on this. Like, I think in that whole film, it's definitely shot through the lens of the male gaze.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's like it's a early 2000s horror film. So like, you want Carly's the main girl, but like she's always just hot, right? So for example, at the start she falls into all these like dead animals because it's like there's like a smell in the forest where they're camping, and she tumbles and falls into these dead animals, and then she gets out, and then her brother is like Chad Michael Murray is like her twin brother is like, take my vest. So she has this like hot like white vest on, but then it kind of rips, and now it's like a cute little crop top. And then when she
was looking at that, I was like, did the tank top change shape or what?
It's like a gorgeous like Urban Outfitters crop top then. And when she gets her finger like chopped off, but they glue her lips together, right? Silencing women. No, you know what I mean? They glue her lips together when she's captured, but then she rips them open so she can scream for help, right? But if you ripped her lips open, they'd be pumping bleeding, they'd be disgusting.
Blood.
But it just looks like she has a gorgeous MAC lippy on.
Gorgeous rouge.
It literally just looks like she went into Benefit and goes, girlies, do my lips. You know what I mean? So, and as well, she's the protagonist and she's like fighting to stay alive, but the person who's saving her all the time is her brother, the man, you know?
Can we talk about that though? Did you think there was like a weird like sexual chemistry between her and it kind of felt like they were like shipping the two of them?
I was like, so weird.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one that picked up on this. I was like, why is it like... And I know the whole thing is like, because obviously they're twins and they have like this fractious relationship at the start because he went to jail for... robbed a car and like she wasn't really sound about helping him or like didn't give him an alibi or something, so he's kind of fucked off about that. And then obviously this whole trauma like brings them together, but even then there are a lot of like lingering shots where it's like, are you gonna fucking kiss or what?
Literally it's so flirty and as well I think it's always on the brother's side. He's always like, he's looking at her, I'm like, you kind of want to fuck your sister, and it's weird. Like, it's so weird. If you go back, you can never watch it again after we say this, because I felt the exact... And I was going to bring it up later about the incest bits. And I was like, it was so... Like, she was more flirty with him than she was with her boyfriend.
Literally, I was like, there is not a spark of chemistry between you and poor Wade. Actually, no wonder Wade was fucking jealous, because you wanted to get up on your fucking brother that you wouldn't even help you out of jail. What?
Yeah, it was mad. It was so funny. But yeah, so then there's everyone's dying, obviously.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like running around this town and they're slowly realising that everyone in the town is wax, which I would have come to the conclusion a bit earlier.
When they went, so there's an animatronic at the window that's like opening things. So at one point she's like, there is someone here, like they'll help us. And then they get to the window and it's like, oh, she's made of wax as well. I'm like, we've wasted probably 10-15 minutes on this that you could have like hightailed it back home, you know what I mean?
12-year-old PJ was like, what? Oh my God, I thought they were going to be I remember my mind was blown.
Gagged.
And also when they go in, so basically at the beginning, when they get to the town first, her and the brother, Carly and her brother, who may or may not be having sex with, you know, who she may or may not be having sex with. And when they get to the town, they go into this church, and that's where they first meet Bo the killer, but he's like at a funeral, and you think it's like a funeral. He comes out and like brings them to his gaff, and later on, when she finds out like, oh, he's the killer vibes, she runs back and she's trying to find help in the church. She goes in, everyone's made of wax in the church, and I just think what I love about this film is they're trying to make it a funny horror, they're trying to make it a serious horror film, but there's like really funny moments in it, like in the church, like the killer's looking for her, and then he finds her. She's after hiding underneath the priest's like gown, so she's like hiding underneath the priest's skirt, and then he's like kind of grappling for her under the priest's skirt, and she's like, ah, and she's trying to get away from him. Like, this is hilarious.
Oh, it's so good. It's just I love it.
Can we just have a quick moment to talk about Paris Hilton and how it was?
Just about to say Paris Hilton, her debut role, as you said, she's not bad in this. I would actually say she's good.
I would actually say, where's her fucking Oscar? Because it was her debut role. The critics were up against her. Everyone was like, she's going to be shit. She's going to get killed off in the first 5 minutes. This is a PR stunt. And she was serving depth. She had a storyline about being pregnant that made no sense to the plot.
Perfect, yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah, like literally, she came out of nowhere. They'd be just talking about this wax thing, and then they'd be like, so you're going to tell him you're pregnant? I'm like, why? She's like, I don't even know if I'm pregnant. And he's like, let's have sex. She's like, I need to tell you something. He's like, no, let's just have sex. The pregnancy thing just didn't need to be a thing. What was that
literally.
about?
The characters are like so underwritten, but the performances are really good. And like she's kind of playing herself, but she commits.
Yeah.
Like she commits to that whole thing about like is she pregnant? Is she not? Her final scenes, like I believe she's scared.
I was like, she's an actor.
She got that contract and she was like, I will serve pussy cunt and be so terrified for you. You know what I mean?
She was like, get me an acting coach now because I want to show the girls that I can do it. But I did think it was kind of, not shady, but like, the director knew what he was doing when he goes, and we're going to have someone with a video camera filming you having sex from a tent. So I was like, oh.
Oh, I actually never even caught that. And that's so true.
Now she looks gorgeous.
Yeah, because their other friend, Dalton, is like filming everything and everyone's like, you're being such a fucking weirdo, whatever. And then the video camera ends up going missing the first night and everyone's like, that's a bit weird, whatever. But yeah, he's like filming them kind of in the tents and being a little bit of a pervert.
And I think I knew I think that was one of the moments I knew I was gay when I was like 12 years old, and I was seeing her in the red bra and I was like, work, instead of being like, oh my god, she's so hot. I was like, work, bitch, like you better fucking run. And I just love in early horror films, like in the 2000s, when the hot girl is running away from the killer, but she's still looking hot. You know what I mean?
The blonde is fresh. Like she
just got the purple wrench. Yeah, she just got that done, and she's wearing the baggy hoodie, and it's off one shoulder. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Do you know what I kind of admire as well? A lot of other people in her bracket would not have done the death scene the way. Like I think a lot of people would have argued. Like her death is probably.
I think that's the worst.
One of the worst and like goriest in it. And she was all like, she said in an interview, she was like, I was really hot when I died, and said was like, I thought it was the coolest death scene. It's really awesome. I cheered. It was dope. Like, pulled through the head and then filmed after, just like.
Also pulled through the head and like. The way he squashes it afterwards.
Yeah, he's squashing the head down.
And you can hear it. I think that was that was the most gruesome death, I thought.
Yeah.
It was.
100%. I think Dalton's comes kind of close as well.
Is that when he's beheaded?
Yes.
Yeah, that was good as well.
But also kind of feel like he deserved it because he was being a bit of a melt. Get out of the house of wax and find your friends.
He was so not. But now, the one thing I would say, I thought he was a bit creepy because he was mad for the sister.
But did you understand that? Because there was this whole, like, they previously went out or, like, they worked together and then...
I think what they would do is they'd get people in the set and they would just randomly they'd be like, okay, now you like her. And they'd be like, oh, why? And they'd be like, it doesn't matter, just say it. You're going to die in 5 minutes anyway. That's why there's like no depth to any character.
Because when they try, like when he gets put in wax and then they find him in the room and they try to like rescue him, and Chad Michael Murray ends up beheading him like again essentially.
Yeah, double beheading.
In the wax. And Carly's like, nah, has the most like insane reaction. I'm like, he's a fucking dweeb. Like, it's grand. And you don't love him. Like, Wade is sexier. And to be honest, your brother is sexier, you know? Like,
but it's why later on she sees Wade dead and she's literally just like, oh.
Anyway.
She's just running. Now she's being chased by a man who, like, can we just talk about how I could fix Vincent?
Do you though?
Like, I just think, so basically there's twin brothers, like that's the whole thing.
Bo and Vincent. And as you said, Bo is like kind of the brains and the brawn of the operation.
And he's crazy.
Yeah, he's crazy, but like he, as you said, he lures the people in for Vincent to make the art. Like their whole kind of thing is like
finishing what their mum did.
Finishing what their mum started, because she was a really talented wax worker, and so was Vincent, but Bo wanted him to start using real people so they were more realistic.
Yeah, which like and as well at the start
kind of it, like loose plot lines, I will say, but yeah.
But even at the start, like there's like a scene in the beginning which establishes like their backstory.
Yeah.
And Beau was like, Vincent was always a really good child. So like he wasn't, this sounds terrible saying, so he wasn't restrained when they were having brekkie at the table. Whereas like Beau would come in, he'd be screaming, so they'd strap him down and he'd have like these scars on his hands and stuff. So that's how you know he was like the more crazy one. And I think it was now obviously very loosely a nod to society and how we judge people too quickly. Like, we let the handsome guy get away with murder, you know what I mean? Whereas the kind of cute, obviously he was still killing people and turning them into wax, but he was a gentle soul, I thought.
Yeah.
Vincent was a gentle soul.
I thought, you know, the end scene where like Carly's like talking to him and she was like, "This isn't you." I was like, if this fucking convinced him now, I'm going to snap. And it bothered some time, but I'm glad he wasn't like, oh, actually, yes, maybe I could be reintroduced to society. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, when she goes, "You're an artist." I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, that's not going to save you, babe.
My mom talked to me about the podcast. Like, oh my God. I will say a lot of its strengths lie in the kind of set pieces and because they do make it like, even if it's not explicitly scary always, the town, I always think an abandoned town is
creepy.
Scary vibes. The fact that the museum, as fucking ludicrous as it is, the fact that the whole thing is made of wax and then it all melts.
Yeah.
That whole thing is like feeling claustrophobic, like.
Yeah, and it's like it's melting all around them and they're like falling into it. And apparently, because on the DVD that I used to have, there was a behind the scenes with the characters.
Oh, perfect.
Obviously, when you were younger, you'd watch all the BTS.
Everything, yeah.
So we were watching the behind the scenes, and apparently while filming, there was a fire on set that set them back loads. Do you know more about that? Do you know the details?
Cost them like $10 million, I think. So they were filming it in Australia, along Australia's Gold Coast, and they built like an entire town of sets to shoot on. And basically there was this accidental fire from an unattended candle, which is
irony.
Just insane. Yeah, nobody was injured, thank God. And they were able to get it back in insurance. But yeah, it cost approximately like $10 million in damage. Like, insane.
I just don't. I'm still shocked that you didn't know about it because, like, I thought it was like the horror film of our generation.
I knew about it, but I just never watched it. And I remember, all I remember around it was Paris's casting and like the stunt and the reaction to that, and how that carried such a negative connotation.
Yeah,
like it has like. Critically, I think it is. It's like 27% or something on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm like, that seems
ridiculous.
So harsh. I've watched much worse horrors. I'm like, it's scary enough, it's gory enough.
Yeah.
Yes, the writing I think is where
terrible.
It falls down, but I think everyone does the best job at what they have.
Yeah.
And
they're the hottest stars of the early 2000s.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah. Well, debatable, but like.
Who is the modern day Chad Michael Murray? Because he is in bloody everything.
I don't know. Also, is he not just Justin Timberlake? Are they not
but
the
like
same
from
person?
Wish.
Yeah.
That's so mean, isn't it? But it is true though, you know what I mean?
Also, and this is me going to kind of segue my way in to try and get back here for another episode.
Okay.
Chad Michael Murray has I think it's a 9-episode arc on Riverdale.
Yes.
So I'll bring him back up when we do the Riverdale.
I need to. How many seasons of Riverdale are there?
Too many.
Yeah.
But they're free now.
I do really want to watch it though, because it's such a quintessential flop. It gets so insane towards the end.
It's like
they're all singing and they're like, "Here's to Ronnie, and Archie and Betty."
No, and it's also we can't go into it now, but
No, we
basically
absolutely cannot.
It's where the term flop came from, I think, because it's so bad.
But was this not like was that not kind of his jumping off comeback point? No, I feel like he's trying to do a few more bits
He's
again.
trying to do a few more bits again, but like back then Chad Michael Murray was like the boy. But who is he? I think now is it Paul Mescal?
No, because like Paul Mescal is actually good.
Yeah, and it needs to just
you know what I mean?
You need
like,
to just be dumb and hot. Okay.
Hot, dumb, often the lead like protagonist in things.
Yeah, who would it be?
I was trying to think about it, and there kind of really isn't anyone in that. I thought it was Noah Centineo for a while, but he hasn't actually done.
And people kind of hate him now, don't they?
Yeah, people kind of. Whereas, like, I don't think actually anyone. I don't hate Chad Michael Murray. I'm like, fine, whatever.
Yeah, he's grand.
And like, thank you for Cinderella Story, but like, otherwise, I'm like irrelevant. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
think I would be kind of Noah though. Noah, someone like, is that the man from All the Boys I Used to Love or whatever? Is that
That's not what it's called, but yeah, it's close enough. Perfect. Are you like a horror fan? Have you kept up with it as you've gotten older?
It's weird because I think I used to be a horror girl when I was younger for some weird reason.
Okay, but not as much now.
Not really now, no. Like I went to see, what did I see recently? Is it X? Is that what it was called? And it was like a trilogy that built up to Pearl. So I'm a star.
Yeah, but I haven't seen it. It's good.
So I went to see, Jose's like, I hate horror. And I was like, yeah, but this is an A24 horror. So it's like a classy horror, you know? I was like, and it'll be like shot well. You know, the blood will be shot on film, you know? So I brought him to that. And literally, we left and I was like, oh my God, that was shot really well. I don't know, it was a bit like, I don't know, did I love the storyline or whatever? And he was like, that was the worst film I've ever seen. And he didn't talk to me for the night. He was like, I hated it so much. He was like, I feel like I need to go to therapy after it. He was like, why do people make films about people killing people? That's so weird. And then I was like, yeah, I suppose like you would, like it is weird that I think as a genre, like we just love watching people be murdered.
Yeah. Now I will say I kind of prefer the ooky spooky horror.
Oh,
you know, like I love a demon or like a ghost.
That
doesn't really count when they're killing people. Other people killing people, I get it. A bit depraved.
If it's too close to home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas if it's like Final Destination or something.
Yeah,
I used to like Final Destinations.
Me and my friend group are like big into The Conjuring.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Have you seen? And actually, your man that directed, no, he didn't do this, but it's actually the writers. So it's Chad Hayes and Carey Hayes are the writers or the screenwriters and producers on this, and they actually went on to do The Conjuring in 2013.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah. There's a big horror background for a lot of them. So you have like the director as well, Jean Colette Serra. He went on to do Orphan, which I haven't seen, but it's supposed to be very good from 2009. The Shallows. Did you watch that? It's like Blake Lively. And
I've heard of it, but I didn't watch it.
Again, also supposed to be good, but I haven't watched it. And he's done a load of, like, to be honest, shit ones with Liam Neeson. And then he also did Jungle Cruise, which was like a Disney thing recently. With
like a weird spanner.
It's like Emily Blunt and like Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Yeah, it's very, yeah.
I think horror. Like I'm anti the whole supernatural one though, because I think
really, why?
Because so for example, take House of Wax, right?
Yeah.
I could probably kill Bo, right?
Okay.
After I seduce him because he's like a zaddy. But like,
he's a bit hot, isn't he?
He's so hot. And also, he's the dad in Cougar Town. Do you ever watch Cougar Town?
Cougar Town's a bit of a flop. Will you come back and do that?
But Cougar Town's amazing.
I know, but didn't it? No, let's take this off.
People.
I was wondering what I knew him from.
Yeah. Oh. Also, for the listeners at home, when I say things are good, I love watching flops. Like my favourite thing to do.
What's that other one you watch on Netflix? Warrior Nun.
Warrior Nun. That's
shocking.
Let's be careful now before we drag Warrior Nun through the mud because that's fucking cinema.
PJ, was it not literally just cancelled there recently?
It's not cancelled, is it?
I think it is.
But what's going to happen? We were left on a cliffhanger.
Will you keep talking about supernatural fucking horror? Why you don't like it? I'm going to Google Warrior Nun.
No, I don't like the supernatural stuff because I feel like I could take the real life people. So if there's a murderer who's a person, I have a level playing ground to be able to kill them because it'll be man v man. I'm 6'4", you know what I mean? I used to play rugby.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I used Thai box when I was young. You know what I mean? I stand a chance. Whereas like if it's the fucking devil coming out of the floor, I'm sure I might as well just die. You know, I wouldn't even try that stage. You know what I mean? So do you know, like I don't mind watching a horror when it's a person that I know I could kill, but if it's a supernatural thing, sure, you're fucked.
Yeah.
If you're in a house that's trying to kill you, like, you need to just demolish the house.
You can't win against house.
You can't win against
but then whatever demons
the
in the
house
house
always wins. It's the same.
whatever demons in the house though is going to come back and find you is the thing.
Well, you're just making up rules now.
No, but that's generally what happens. Is that not the whole conceit of The Conjuring? That the house is fucking haunted?
But then do they get out and they're grand?
Or no, did they think was that? Anyway, doesn't matter. The Nun was, here, I hate to say this, but The Nun is cancelled. As of recording. Hopefully something changes in the meantime. But
Okay, guys, what you call the floppies? What you call the flop culture listener? What you call the flop culture listeners?
Oh, wait, they don't have a name, actually.
Okay.
We can't call them floppies. That's
the floppies?
Floppy disks.
The floppy disks? Anyway, the listeners, we're going to start a petition to get Warrior Nun back.
Yeah,
because
perfect.
It's amazing. And also, it's kind of anti-religion to cancel it, is it? I don't know. Anti-church. Wait until the Pope hears about this. No, I bet you the fucking Pope was the one who behind cancelling it because it was too good.
Yeah.
And it was giving nuns in the monastery ideas that they could rise up the ranks. You know what I mean?
Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No, just panicking now that the Catholic Church is going to shut down the pod. Anyway, back to horrors.
What did you think about the marketing campaign behind it, and specifically around Paris's casting? Because that was kind of one of the other things that like buoyed the movie. And this was before social media as well, but like she was cast and people were like outraged she was cast, like the horror fans. But they had this whole like tagline that was basically "See Paris Die." So you'd have photos of her like standing next to the tagline. Brilliant. And like it's funny because at the time it's like kind of steeped in misogyny, but she's nearly able to turn it around. And you look at it now and it's like that's kind of camp that she was able to just be like, fuck you, I'm making my absolute bank. And again, I maintain she is not the worst part of this whatsoever.
No, she's not. I thought she was good.
I think she's so good.
Yeah, also, I just love that she doesn't give a shit. You know, she wasn't like, I'm a serious actor. I'm not going to stand next to a poster that says "See Paris Die." She was like, that's hot. She was like, get a picture of me. You know what I mean?
Loving it.
Also, I need to show you this picture from, they did an interview with, I think it was Us Weekly or something. And doesn't this picture just scream 2000s cast?
Yes, I saw that picture. Yeah, 100%. It's... I looked at it. Because I was reading something about Chad Michael Murray. I was like, "Oh, is that the One Tree Hill cast?" If you looked at it kind of quickly, I was like,
"Yeah,
your eyes would need to like readjust."
And also, she has the bump it in that one, Paris. No, but I think
Bumpets are a flop.
What?
Bumpets are a flop. I don't know if I get a whole episode out of it, but God love me, I try.
It's sounding like I'm praising it a lot. There are flops. There's some plot holes in the film and stuff.
So what do you think doesn't work? Or
the
like
writing is just shit.
Okay.
So it's an adaptation of like, it's a remake of a remake. So basically...
Now, it's a very loose remake, I will say. Because I was like, oh yeah, and I haven't watched this, but I think I will now. So it's a loose remake of the 1953 film of the same name, which is a remake of the 1933 film, Mystery of the Wax Museum. But like the plot is pretty much entirely different. So the 1933 film Mystery of the Wax Museum tells the story of a brilliant wax figure sculptor whose museum of priceless sculptures is burned down by a duplicitous business partner, resulting in the permanent scarring of your man's face, the artist. The unhinged sculptor then returns years later, intent on both revenge and rebuilding his collection of cherished faces by any means necessary. Things only get worse when he meets a woman who looks just like his lost masterpiece, which is like a thematic callback to something, and becomes intent on making her a permanent addition to the exhibition. So like, it's not... There are like bits of it that are similar, but...
They just goes, he turned people to wax, we'll just take that bit. Yeah. And that was it.
So you haven't seen that movie either?
I haven't seen that one either. Because it's like, is it silent or old? Is it old? Is this?
I don't know if it's silent, but it's old.
It's something you'd play if you want to impress people, to be like, I watched a 1950s film kind of vibes. You know what I mean? But I'll watch this. Maybe no, I won't. I'm never going to watch it.
Yeah, don't tell lies in the podcast.
Yeah, I won't lie. Perfect. I'm not going to lie to the flappies.
Thanks.
But basically, I just think the writing is shocking. It was so there's no plot. Like, all the characters are half baked. They just all have like they're all walking cliches of themselves. So that's where it's a flop. But then it gets itself back because they're all hot pop culture icons of their time in this film. And then the set and the production was really good for like 2005, you know, except there's one scene at the end.
Is it the end where the house is melting and they're on like the ledge of the wax and it's falling? The CGI
is like Grand Theft Auto Vice City,
MS Paint,
MS Paint, and I'm just like, director. In that instance, well, maybe back then they were like, this is the best thing ever.
Cutting edge,
in that instance, I don't know, cut to an eyeball and have a reflection of fire or something. You know, don't do a wide shot of the house melting if it's going to look like that. It was like roadblocks, like.
It ends on a bit of a... not twist is the wrong word. What am I thinking of?
That's the
cliffhanger,
yeah. But so also, does it?
Okay, so at the start of the film, when they're brought to the town by this guy who kind of gives creepy, weird vibes, but drops them off, and there's kind of no more said about it, and we don't meet him again until the very end of the film, where it's revealed that he's like the secret third brother that nobody knew about, right? In which Carly kind of also cops herself as they're like driving away with the brother Nick, and they're like processing the trauma, whatever. So like, with that in mind, if there ever was to be a House of Wax sequel, what do you see it looking like? Who would you like to see come back? Who would you not like to see come back?
Do you think that's why they did that so they could do a sequel if they wanted to?
I kind of think so, but like, any time I've Googled it, it's like, no, absolutely not. We're never doing a sequel.
Yeah, because I was looking as well. But as well, like, again, number one, when they're in the car with that guy at the one of the third brother at the start, that taught me don't judge a book by its cover, because they're all freaked out in the car with him and they think he's going to kill them, and then he's like, oh, I was just trying to be nice. But then at the end he does turn out to be like one of the killers, so actually maybe do judge a book by its cover. But if it was to be a sequel, well, they're all dead, so the only people that could come back is Carly and her twin brother. And they're obviously going to be in jail. Can they go to jail for incest? Because they're obviously going to be in prison or something.
They could go to jail for incest, yeah. Does that an interesting movie make, though? Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe after they start hooking up with each other after they leave, because the sexual tension on camera
off the charts.
Is off the charts. So maybe they come back and maybe they're all crazy. I don't know. No, I think, what could we do? Could you do pre?
Yeah, this was literally what I was just about to say. So the writers, Kerry and Chad, actually said they've no plans for a sequel, but they would do a prequel. We did float the idea of a prequel after it came out, but the studio's response is it didn't do any big numbers at the box office. But if we approach it now, it could be a whole different story because of the fan base. Because it does kind of, I don't want to call it a cult following because I don't think it fully has that, but they are right in the sense that it wasn't a total box office flop, but it didn't make
it made 30 million.
So it caught, but it caught, like, that's still not huge enough numbers to warrant. Oh, but I like 30 million. Yeah, absolutely. But it cost $40 million. Yeah. Only made 70.1. I don't mean only, but you know what I mean.
Okay, I know what you mean.
In terms of financing another movie. So yeah, you're thinking like maybe a prequel with the brothers. I think that would be scary and seeing their home life.
And I want to know why the two of them just let your man. I suppose was your man the brains behind it all, really, or you know what I mean, the guy who drove them to the place.
Yeah, because when I think about that, I'm like, so he's the third brother, but what was he doing? Bringing them to the town, and then.
I think this is how the operation worked. I think my angel Vincent just wanted to make some wax sculptors.
Okay.
Yeah. He just wanted to make some wax sculptures, right? Yeah. That's all he wanted to do. He didn't want to kill anyone. He was Mam's boy. He misses her. I'm actually so sad. He's lovely, right?
Yeah.
Wrong place, wrong time, poor Vincent, right?
Yeah.
And he has a half a face. So, like, society threw him to the sticks, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's an angel boy. Okay. Bo's insane. He's too hot for his own good, right? He's just crazy, right? And then he kind of corrupts Vincent. Okay. But then I think the other guy's role, which I don't know his name, the guy who was the kind of hillbilly guy who was like taking all the roadkill. I think his job was to get people, because they were saying they pull people off the motorway and that's how they get them to town. He's the mastermind who gets people from the road into the town. So you could argue he's actually the worst person, because otherwise people would have just went to the match or like kept their journey going. But he was like, no, come in here. And then he gave them over to the crazy Bo fella. So I think Bo's in charge. Your man is the kind of like guy who gets people in for him, and he kind of wants to impress Bo. And then I think Vincent's just like misunderstood.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So misunderstood. Sweetie boy. Why should someone watch it? Like, what's your elevator pitch for why it's not actually really a flop and people should embrace it wholeheartedly? I
think it encapsulates the early 2000s perfectly, because it's just all vibes, no story. You know what I mean? They're just all these like generically hot people dying, and it's also like a mild horror. So like if you're a horror fanatic and like your partner's like, oh, I don't like horror, like I don't like guts, all that stuff, you could ease them into it with that. Like you could make them watch that first, and then they're like, oh, that wasn't too bad, and I kind of live for Paris, you know? Yeah. So that's why you should watch it, I think.
Cian's not really into horror, my fiancé, and and that was pathetic. And he watched it with me, and he was like, "Oh yeah, no, like he enjoyed it, and he found it scary, but not like terrifying." So good entry point for someone.
Good entry point. Yeah, it's like a gateway drug to horrors. You know, it's the weed of horror films.
It's the weed,
if you will. You know
of
what
horror
I mean?
Films. What a comparison. PJ, what a joy it's been. What a blast.
What a joy.
Where can people listen to you, find out more about you if they're interested?
What am I plugging at the moment? Let me check.
What are you plugging? Have a look.
So me and my best friend Kevin have a book coming out in October called the I'm Grand Mam. So buy that. And then you can listen to my podcast I'm Grand Mam on any streaming platform.
And you're on Patreon. Plugs Patreon.
I'm on Patreon. Oh yeah, obviously. On Patreon, we do an extra podcast called Don't Tell Mam. And then just follow me at PJ Kirby.
Stunning.
We can be buddies.
You'll have to come back. You've a bag full of flops.
Yeah, I'm ready for Cougar Town. I'm ready for Riverdale. And
we are going to have to do Warrior Nun, I think.
Oh, we'll have to do. Well, that's going to be.
I know you're in denial about it now, but I think once you turn the corner, we'll get a good conversation out of it.
Okay, I'm just going to need to mourn the loss of it first.
Yeah.
You're actually after kind of ruining my day. But it's fine.
Perfect. I love it. I love when guests say that. PJ, thank you so much for joining me on Flop Culture.
Thank you. Bye, Floppies.